Doak Walker is a name synonymous with college football greatness, especially when we look back at the legendary players of the mid-20th century. His name now graces the Doak Walker Award, an honor bestowed upon the top running back in college football each year since 1990. Who is Doak Walker and why does he have an award named after him? That's the subject of this video. Ewell Doak Walker Jr. was born on January 1st, 1927 in Dallas, Texas. Walker attended Highland Park High School in Dallas, where he participated in football, basketball, baseball, track, and swimming. That's quite a load. In football, his speed, agility, and ability to read the game marked him as a special talent. He was not just a running back, but an all-around athlete, playing quarterback, defensive back, and serving as a punter, kicker, and return man. In 1944, Walker led his high school football team to the state championship game. His team lost 20-7 to Port Arthur, but Walker scored the 7 points for Highland Park. By the time he graduated from high school, Walker was already a local legend in Texas. While Walker was at Highland Park High, another football immortal, Bobby Lane, was in the same backfield. Lane would go on to become a Hall of Famer in both college and the NFL. After Walker graduated from high school in 1944, he and Lane joined the Merchant Marine together in January 1945. Walker became a radio operator, but was discharged in October of that same year as the post-war need for manpower dwindled. It was assumed that Walker would join Lane at the University of Texas. Lane and Walker attended an SMU game in New Orleans, and after the game, the SMU backfield coach, Rusty Russell, who had been Walker's coach at Highland Park, talked Walker into going to SMU instead. Walker enrolled the next Monday and played in a football game against Texas and Bobby Lane the next Saturday. A touchdown pass by Lane won the game for the Longhorns 12-7. Despite playing in only 5 games that year, Walker ran for 289 yards and 5 touchdowns, while throwing for 387 yards and 4 scores as a freshman. His performance was so incredible, he was voted to the All-Southwest Conference team. Despite World War II being over and having served in the Merchant Marine, Walker was drafted by the U.S. Army in 1946, where he played football for Brooke Medical Center. There were many armed services camps that sponsored football during World War II, a subject we will cover in future videos on this channel. Walker returned to SMU as a sophomore in 1947 and again led the Mustangs to success. He led the SMU team to a 9-0-2 record. Only a 19-19 tie with Texas Christian University at the end of the regular season marred a perfect record. Walker puts on a show in the 1947 TCU game. He had 119 yards rushing, goes 10 of 14 passing, and has 3 kickoff returns for 163 yards. He scores 2 touchdowns and an extra point. TCU led 19-13 with 90 seconds left. Walker took a kickoff to the TCU 35. Quarterback Gil Johnson then hit Walker with a bomb to the TCU 9, and then Johnson hit Sid Halliday with a touchdown to tie the game. Walker missed the game-winning extra point, one of the biggest disappointments of his life. In the postseason Cotton Bowl, SMU tied again 13-13, this time by Penn State. The 1948 Cotton Bowl was made history because it was the first interracial bowl game in a southern state. It plays an iconic part in Penn State's history, and I have a video about it with regards to the origin of the "We Are Penn State" cheer that you might want to watch after this. SMU was ranked number 3 in the final AP poll in 1947. Walker led the country in kick returns with 387 yards on 10 returns, a 38.7 yard per return average. He rushed for 684 yards and 8 touchdowns and passed for 342 yards and 3 scores. He was a consensus All-American, won the Maxwell Award, and finished 3rd in the Heisman Trophy voting. By the way, my name is John Johnston, and I make deep dive videos about college football history. If you like what you see, please like this video, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. If you like it a lot, please consider supporting me on Patreon. Thank you. Southern Methodist went 9-1-1 in 1948, finishing 10th in the AP poll. They won the Southwest Conference again, tied TCU at the end of the season again, and were invited to the Cotton Bowl again. This time, they defeated Oregon 21-13. Walker was dominant again in 1948, rushing for 542 yards and 8 touchdowns, catching 15 passes for 278 yards and 2 scores, and throwing for 304 yards and 5 TDs. He also returned 10 punts for 169 yards and a touchdown, totaled 161 yards on 5 kickoff returns, intercepted 3 passes for 75 yards, averaged 42.1 yards on 35 punts, and kicked 22 PATs. That is a busy guy on the football field. He beat out Charlie Justice and Chuck Bednarik for the Heisman Trophy. Walker's senior season was disappointing. He missed several games because of injury as SMU finished with a 5-4-1 record. Walker actually wrote to Collier's, the magazine, and asked them not to consider him for All-American status since he had missed some important games. In response, the magazine's sports editor put Walker on its December 10th, 1949 cover and named him Player of the Year for sportsmanship. Walker became a consensus All-American for the 3rd consecutive year. He finished 3rd in the Heisman Trophy voting behind Leon Hart of Notre Dame and Charlie Justice of North Carolina. Now, by this time, Walker had become a national hero. The Cotton Bowl had become known as the house that Doak built because Southern Methodist had moved games from their campus to the Cotton Bowl because of the crowds that Walker drew. An example of his fame comes from an article in D Magazine, August 1st, 1977, entitled, "Where Have You Gone, Doak Walker?" by John Merlin. A passage from the article. Doak. Perhaps no first name ever needed a last name so little. Now here was an honest-to-God hero, a cut of American youth, more All-American than Jack Armstrong himself. Pee-wee football players argued over who would wear Doak's number 37. Boys named their dogs after Doak. Fathers named their sons for him, hoping that their sons too would be All-American. Not necessarily All-American on the football field, although that would be a bonus for any father. All-American in heart and soul. Like Doak, a humble Highland Park youth who drank nothing stronger than milk, asked his sweetheart to wear his golden football emblem, and every Sunday faithfully attended Sunday school class. That is unbelievably gooey stuff. It's unbelievably gooey cheese, but it is a beautifully gooey cheese. And by the way, Jack Armstrong, referred to in that passage, was the main character of a radio series called Jack Armstrong, the All-American Boy, which ran from 1933 to 1951. It was the creation of General Mills for the purpose of selling Wheaties, because what All-American boy wouldn't eat Wheaties? One other explanation of his fame comes from the book Texas Football Legends, Greats of the Game, by Carlton Stowers, published in 2008. Doak Walker came along in an era when everyone was looking for heroes, recalled former SMU teammate Dick Davis. In those post-World War II days, folks were looking for something good to focus their attention on, and Walker filled the bill. He truly was what an All-American should be. He was a complete athlete and a complete gentleman. He made good grades, and he was one of the most popular figures on campus, in the community, and with his teammates. I grew up with the guy, played high school football with him, and he was a hero to me. Now, Walker goes to the NFL after his college days are done, being selected as the 3rd overall pick in the 1950 draft by the Detroit Lions. He played for 6 seasons despite scouts thinking he was too small at 5'11" and 173 pounds. He was Rookie of the Year in 1950, the league scoring champion, and made the Pro Bowl. In 6 seasons, he made the Pro Bowl 5 times and was made All-NFL 5 times. Walker was an all-around athlete, generating stats in every available category: rushing, passing, receiving, punt, and kickoff returns, punting, place kicking, and even interceptions. Again, that's a lot of work on the football field. The Detroit Lions won 3 divisional titles with him and 2 NFL titles, 1952 and 1953. By the time his NFL career was over, his point total of 534 was the 3rd all-time in NFL history. Now, Walker left the NFL because of better opportunities in private industry, and because he still wanted to walk when he left the game. He became a national sales representative in the construction business and eventually relocated to Denver. In March 1950, Walker married his college sweetheart, Norma Jane Peterson, at the Highland Park Presbyterian Church in Dallas. They had 4 children, but they were divorced in 1965. In 1959, Walker was inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame, and in 1986 into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Walker married again, this time to Olympic ski racer Skeeter Warner in 1969. They lived in Steamboat Springs, Colorado. The Doak Walker Award was announced at the end of 1989. It is given each season to the most outstanding collegiate running back. In articles, Walker stated, "It's nice to have an award named after you. Normally, you have to wait until you're dead to get one." In January 1998, at age 71, Walker was involved in a skiing accident and was paralyzed from the neck down. He died later that September from his injuries. Texas running back Ricky Williams chose to wear number 37 when he won the award that fall. The Walker died as he had met Walker when Williams won the Doak Walker Award the previous season. Another quote from Bobby Lane, who said of Walker, "When the score was 20-0, we're ahead. Doak wasn't worth a damn. But tied 7-7 or down 13-14 and not much time left, he'd do the unbelievable." And that's the story of why Doak Walker has an award named after him, because he earned it. Have you ever wondered who Davey O'Brien was and why there's a quarterback award named after him? You're in luck. You can watch a video about that next.